Okay, we're having some problems tonight that are significant problems. I'm wondering if this link is going to work, so I'm going to go ahead and say welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you, except nobody's there. And April, you are there. Okay, great. I'm going to just see if this link stays open. The other two closed on me, and I wasn't able to see any of the dashboards, so I can't run a show without any site. Okay, looks like we are okay. Great to see you. Boy, that put me in a good mood. Okay, so now I have to recover from that amazing mood that just put me in. Okay, good job. Thank you, everybody. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I could see that the link was open and that it was on public, but I couldn't see anything. So there was something on my end that was wrong, and I had to start it again twice. But in the meantime, I had to delete the other two so that people knew that we would be here. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. Happy Friday night, everybody. Happy gallery night. Happy cocktail night. I don't actually have a cocktail. Is anybody right there? I was going to say, I will take a drink tonight. That really did me in. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. It's great to see you. I'm glad we made it. Who knows? This, maybe I have an impromptu poem for you here. Who knows why the hell technology sometimes works, sometimes doesn't? Sometimes transforming it into free verse sometimes works for some, not for others. It's there for you, it's not there for me. Who knows? And all of the other bad words I'd like to add to the end of it, but I'm not going to. So we are here now. Let's do this. Good to see you, everybody. Welcome. Welcome back. Sorry about that. It still shows a completely wrong dashboard, but since you're telling me on my phone and here that you're there, I'm gonna have to believe it. Happy gallery night. Gallery nights should be a little bit smoother, shouldn't they? They should start smoother, particularly gallery nights when we have so much amazing content. You won't believe the things that are here for you tonight. We have old friends, new friends, works in progress, finished work, works that I have not seen before, friends who I have not seen before sending in work. So this is an exciting night because I feel like we're seeing updates from people who we know and love, and we have some new buddies coming in who are doing tremendous and important work, and we want to look at that work and comment on that work as well. April, great to see you. Welcome back. Happy cocktail night in Illinois. I'm gonna have a beer as soon as I get the first, and we're gonna do cheers together as soon as anyone comes walking near me. Catherine, great to see you. Thank you so much. Melissa, great to see you. Nope, I could not get us on today. And something was different over on the side. It was asking me choices that I've never seen before. So, what's it all about? Streamlabs. Ah, Judy, good to see you. Welcome back. Sue's great to see you. Welcome back in Kansas. Karen, oh, great to see you in Southington. Great to see you. I haven't seen you in person for a while. Judy, okay, we're good. Sounds good. Volume's good. Everything is there. Kaz, welcome back. Great to see you. It is a humid night in Wisconsin. Oh no, it's a humid night here too. We were having these beautiful, easy get out of jail car days. It was like, is this summer or is this not summer? We are getting away with something, and then all of a sudden, boom, hit a wall of heat. It's here too. Let's see what happens this weekend. I just want to remind you, I am away starting tomorrow morning first thing until the following Saturday. So you won't see me next week here live, but you will see me making posts because I'll be back on the Cape, and you know that I will find some hooked rugs and some art that is interesting for us to talk about, and I will be sharing those things, but I won't be here live, but you will see me soon after for sure. Dave, great to see you joining from the artist community of Carrizozo, New Mexico. Super, super welcome. So happy that you're there. So curious about your work in that community as well. Linda, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. Cheers to making it all work. We usually get there in the end, don't we? It's remarkable, but we do. Wendy, great to see you. Happy cocktail night. Definitely Gremlins. That's it. I'm going to write a poem in bed tonight called Gremlins. That's how I'm going to exorcise the demons tonight. It does, Suze. It's the worst. It's just the worst. I never feel confident when I'm doing anything that involves sitting in front of the computer. After all this time, incredibly. Cheers, my dears, Judy in Pennsylvania. Sandy, hello. It's great to see you. Welcome back. I can see that face in person in my head. Great to see you. It was a nice. It was a nice day here. I had my weekly gathering in Hartford, where some of the buddies came and worked on stuff. Galen came and worked on his emotional support chicken. He's working on a second emotional. He's knitting a emotional support chicken. And my friend Shay came, and she is working on I think it's a McGowan sampler, lots of different styles. When we kind of packed up and left, she was working on cobblestones, and I thought, ooh, I don't know how to do cobblestones. I would like to see how that turns out. So curious. And my buddy Janet was working on something else. It was a small group today, summertime, right? People coming and going. Well, I am happy that you have come and that you are here. And I'm going to get right into it because we have a great show tonight. I did 2 separate packets for us, and I am going to keep an eye on the thread to make sure everybody is accounted for. I'll keep an eye on those who are joining us. Because I think I killed the previous 2 links, but I'm really hoping that I did, because otherwise people might be confused about what link works. Karen, great to see you in Black Forest, Colorado, having a glass of wine. That sounds so civilized. I'm so happy to see you. Kaz, you are on deck. We are starting with you tonight. So let me first, I'm going to read your message first, and you sent us some beautiful things to look at. Kaz, you write, hi, Deanna. Thank you very much for sharing the video from the Unitarian Church in Hartford service. That was last weekend's service. I hope you saw that. The sermon about rug hooking. It was a big hit. And just so you all know, I mean, who thought, number one, that I would be able to squeak in a sermon about rug hooking? It wasn't completely about rug hooking if you watched it. It was about life, and it was about healing, and it was about therapy, and it was about using art to feel better and to express yourself. And I thought, oh, it might appeal to a few people. Man, that video has gotten about, I think it's close to 1,200 views right now. The average number of views is like 50. So thank you all for watching. More people keep watching it. And I've gotten an unprecedented amount of emails from people in our group, but also people in the congregation who I don't know by name, saying that meant so much to me. And I thought, look at how many people we were able to just reach with that one Sunday morning, right? Spreading the word about art therapy, spreading the word specifically about rug hooking. It hit a lot of people in the heart. So I felt great about that. Let's see when the next thing is I can sneak in, right? The next rug hooking reference I can sneak in. Thank you, Kaz. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. You said it was a beautiful service. I loved this sermon. You did a fantastic job. Thank you. You made me emotional. Me too. I struggled right at the end of that. And the songs are very fitting. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was able to sing a little bit in that one, although we screwed it up. It was good enough. Here are the write-ups and the photos for gallery night. Oh, thanks, Karen. Thank you so much. That was what I was going for, inspirational. Yeah, and a lot of new people want to come to the Friday thing to learn how to rug hook, so that's really good. So let's see, the first one that you sent us, let's come over here and let's check out Kaz's photos for tonight. Ooh, 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 ooh. So Bee and Woodpecker. And Kaz says, I joined a Zoom punch-along session, a series of sessions, taught by Laura Berlage and hosted by the Oxford Rug Hooking Company, or school. These are spring and summer panels of a 4-season panel. So you will soon be doing autumn and winter. Oh, I can see how they're going to fit together so beautifully, and I can see how they actually fit together literally, right? When you put them next to each other, the tree branches stretching across. Each separate panel features a tree in a different season. Laura's designs allowed us to add personal touches, and I chose to hook the tree trunk instead of punching it. Oh, I see. I can see right where the woodpecker's little beak is. I can see that that is hooked rather than punched. Absolutely, I can see that. Now you've got me wondering. I'm guessing that fall and winter are going to be below, and I'm guessing we're going to see something in the sky, the bottom of the woodpecker, and maybe some characters on the ground, maybe. I'm anticipating what might be the continuation of the picture. It's like one of those magic pictures, you know, where you take out some blocks and you try to figure out what the rest of the picture is. I think we're all playing that game in our head. What would fit below the bee and the woodpecker? Kaz, this is so beautiful. You did such a gorgeous job with this. I just love the energy, the motion in the sky. I love how for the bee buzzing, oh, Veronica, great to see you. Oh, I love this too. I love this. I love how you did not shy away from doing and I know some of it's the pattern, some of it's stuff that you added, but I love how the fact that spring is there, the bee is there, the motion of him buzzing with like the broken line rather than just like a wavy line or a gust of wind. It's a broken line, like you can almost hear the bzzz. And over on the woodpecker side, all the beautiful fruits and blossoms blooming, right, coming into their own. I love how so far of the two panels we see they are distinctly different, and there's no shying away from making a completely different transition from one to the next. It seems to me that the thing that will hold the four panels together will be, sorry about that, the tree, right? And everything else is up for grabs because the leaves stop, the color of the sky changes a little bit. The thing that remains the same is the tree, and that will give all four pieces such a sense of unity. But the backgrounds, and we will be so curious to see the last two, the backgrounds will give such variety. And who doesn't love the theme of the four seasons, right? No matter where you are, what part of the world you are, how many seasons you experience in the wheel of your year, it is so nice and cozy to think about the breakdown of the year, however that falls for you in your climate, and to think about the things that are associated with each season. So this is going to be a lot of fun to evolve. And Kaz, this is looking amazing. I just love the hooking and the punching on this. This is your next piece, the Sugar Pumpkin Skull. I punched this Sugar Pumpkin Skull designed by Deanna. So this is one of the many ribbon candy hooking sugar skull pumpkins. They're all pumpkin faces and they're all different ones. There's probably 10 or 12 of them at this point. I put some new pumpkin faces out in the last autumn issue of Magpie Times. They're all different, and sometimes I think of something funny that's good for a particular year. But these patterns seem to be ever popular. Some people making them three-dimensional, like Kaz has, and it looks like it's on a little dowel, a little wooden dowel, stuffed. Other people are doing them flat and framing them, hooking the background like black or all one color. So lots of different ways that these can be done. It's so fun to see each version. And Cass, as a friend of mine who lives in Hawaii, was visiting Wisconsin last month, and I punched this for her so she could use it for her Spanish classes that she teaches during the Day of the Dead. How perfect is that? This really is, it's not a sugar skull. I don't shy personally away from sugar skulls because I personally love the idea of celebrating the Day of the Dead and the souls of those who have passed and putting out food for them and all of their favorite things, right? The day that they are closest to this world. But I know not everybody celebrates the Day of the Dead, and I know not everybody appreciates skulls and witches and that kind of motif. So I kind of went halfway with the pumpkins, and they definitely have a Day of the Dead feel. I think she's going to be able to use this. It'll be a real fun and colorful prop for that class, right? I bet she had a great time with you, Kaz. I know I love to be with you. And this is the next one that Kaz put in. I taught my first punch needle class at Icon Fiber Arts in Des Peres, Wisconsin last week. Kaz, I didn't know that. Congratulations. I'm sure it went so well, and I'm so excited that you're bringing that to that part of Wisconsin. This is fantastic news. And Kaz says, I made a coneflower pattern using a cookie cutter. And there it is there. You can see it in this photo. These are samples I made for the class. I used solar dyed yarns for one of the samples. I harvested marigold flowers last summer and I dried them. I also used leftover weld and madder, and I kept in the refrigerator since last June. The light pink came from avocado pits. Oh, you're kidding. The light pink, I'm thinking in the yellow one. Ooh, several people from the national dye wool community under Jean Haley are experimenting with solar dyeing. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Friday. I'm looking forward to seeing you too. Tess says, thank you. That was the yarn store. Yes, I loved that yarn store. I forget the name of the guy who owned it, but he was so lovely. And it was such an amazing selection of yarn. I am looking forward to coming back. I really am. So sorry I couldn't make it this past spring. Everything went crazy in the world. I loved that yarn store. You know, because we don't have a lot of rug cooking stores, when I see a yarn store, I typically go, and Kaz knows that. So she took me to the yarn store near her when I was staying with her visiting. And it was such a, you know, some are better than others because it's just a taste thing. And since the intention is that you will buy wool or whatever yarn and knit with it, since that is the presumption, you know, they don't all stock a lot of stuff for hookers, but this particular one I found some beautiful yarns that I did use for knitting, but I've also used them for hooking. I actually started knitting, crocheting rather, a scarf on the plane ride home. But you know, this particular store had a collection of yarns that were like local yarns, and that's always what I'm looking for. I'm not really looking for the Malabrigio and the brands that I see all the time, Hedgehog. I know I can find those any day, any shop. But when I go somewhere, I love to find yarn and supplies in general. Sometimes you get like bits of wool or stuff for penny rugs or applique. I love to find that stuff that's local because I know I won't find it in my store. That store was loaded with that stuff, and he has an amazing personality, Josh. He was just lovely. Beautiful store. I'm glad to know that it's thriving and that now you are teaching there. That is really good news. Those were so beautiful, Kaz, all of them. I'm interested in the solar dyeing as well. I've dyed with mason jars, you know, out in the, you've seen me do this, out in the driveway and stuff on days like this when it's this hot. And I do love that technique because I don't have to turn the oven on, right? On a day like this when it's 90 something outside and very humid, the stove top is one thing, right? It's like we have gas. The stove top comes and goes. I can exhaust that heat. But when you turn that oven on, man, that we're talking about a different kind of heat, and you just can't get it back out of the house. So solar dyeing is a great option, great thing to talk about. Valerie, I have you in two different spots because I got your early ones in early in the show, and I got the one you sent me this afternoon. I made it home in time. I made it home in time from hosting the group in Hartford, and if any of you are local, you are always welcome to come every Friday starting at 1. I always say cutoff is like 3, like I'm leaving at 3, but I always leave at 4. And then something else happened, which is why I'm looking at my phone. You know what happened to our friend Rebecca? You know that Rebecca was here this week because you saw her last Saturday when we did this live show. And, you know, I took her to Sturbridge and dropped her off in the McGowan thing for this week. And then I went back on Wednesday. I have some of those photos for you here. I was going to share that tonight. We'll see what we do with time because I ended up getting a lot of gallery things. But I took a lot of photos for you at that McGowan show. And one of her friends from the show just dropped her off at the airport in East Granby, which is near my mom. And she called a few minutes ago, and she was like crying on the phone because her flight got canceled. And she said, I'm not going to cry. I'm a big girl. I'm not going to cry, but my flight is not until tomorrow night. And there's really nothing there, you know. So I said, no problem. My mother loves her. My mother would love to come and pick you up and gobble you up and have you to herself back at the house, right? Go back to the house, go back into her room in the basement that she just left a few days ago. Go back in there, be snubby, be comfortable, pull it together, have a relaxing night and a relaxing day. I bet they're having sushi right now. So poor Rebecca, right? Who needs that after like a week of travel? Nobody needs that. But I guess there's bad weather out west, right? So good luck with your weather tonight if you're out there as well. It's apparently quite bad. So we'll keep an eye on that. Valerie, let me come forward. Wait a minute, Kaz. Let me make sure I didn't miss one of your photos before. Kaz, I did. I'm so sorry. Kaz, you sent me photos of the solar dyeing. Valerie, you are on deck. Kaz, these are great photos. Those are the avocado pits. Okay, so jar number 2, well, if not 2, the white jar with the avocado pits. I see what you got going on there. And were these all left out for the same amount of time, like a day or a week or something? Um, Yeah, the avocado pits never do anything extreme, but I can see the other colors coming up a treat, right? You've got some 4 days. Thank you. 4 days. Yeah, those colors came out great. You know, I love this cookie cutter design. This is so clever because it makes some beautiful coasters. Who doesn't need a coaster, right? Anybody can use a coaster anytime. Everybody drinks something, right? You can put your water on a coaster, your tea, if you're a teetotaler, on the coaster. It doesn't matter. You can put your martini on the coaster if that's what you're drinking. Absolutely beautiful. I love these natural colors. And I'm thinking the avocado one in this picture, the avocado pit is on the far right. A little bit of a pink tint. But God, did that make a soft and lovely sort of whisper of a pink inside the petals of the coneflower. That is really, really lovely. Super well done. Very excited about all of those projects and the dyeing. Now, Valerie, you sent a really beautiful, Cass says, when I opened the jar, it smelled so bad, I had to throw away what was inside. Oh, no, wait a minute. When you opened the jar, it smelled, so did you keep the wool? Did you wash, you didn't throw out the wool. Was that the avocado pit jar? That's so funny. Gosh, that's so funny. I had that once, not with dyeing, but I had that once with one of the, not my grandmother, but one of the ancient people in my family who I used to visit when I was younger, kept those, you kept button jars, and she kept the button jar in an old pickle jar, as you do, right, as people like definitely do. Man, I don't think they had opened that jar for half a century. I'm not kidding. When I opened that jar, I was like, you know, an adult by then. 'Cause it was like so nostalgic to look at the jar. I opened that jar. I almost passed out. Honest to God. It was like worse than, I mean, I love horseradish, but not to smell. It was the most like incredible thing I've ever smelled. It almost knocked me out. Amazing how smells can be that powerful. You kept the yarns after washing them. The smell went away. Yeah. That's so funny, isn't it? Well, that's good to know that when you open it, be prepared, right? Because it might not be like roses. It might not be pretty roses. It might be something really ghastly. Um, that's funny. That's a funny twist in the story, Kaz. Valerie, you wrote something so nice, and you sent such a great project in. So here you write, "Hi Deanna, I've really appreciated all your YouTube videos sharing inspiration and education for rug hooking. My best friend from high school, 50 years, and her husband really appreciate modern art. So I wanted to make a rug for them. I pulled from your Design Light class and emulated the work of Hilma af Klint." Good morning, Gail. Happy Saturday morning in Australia. Happy coffee time. Um, you know, this is one of my favorite artists of all time. This is the painting by Hilma af Klint. So Hilma, like Wilma, but with an H. Af, A-F, means of. Klint, K-L-I-N-T. One of the great, not well known enough artists of the early 20th century. She was a Victorian person who worked in the early 20th century. I feel like the Design Light class I did on her was comprehensive, and for what we know of her work, and absolutely beautiful, very meditative work. She usually painted, worked, sketched, came up for ideas with compositions while she was in a trance state, or when she was in, I don't know what you call this state of being when you are actively participating in a seance. So in those circumstances, that is when she was the most inspired and had the most ideas. So most of her work comes from those times, and also like automatic writing, right? When you just kind of are, your mind is a blank and you are just writing. So great piece to choose. It's very decorative, but it is very modern. And so you took this as the inspiration because her work is absolutely out of copyright because of its age, and you made this, which I think is, I dare say, even prettier. Appeals to me very much because it's a textile. Now wait a minute, I have to slide back here. Ah, you changed the text. Well, that makes sense. I don't know if the word that was on the original, because she was Swedish, I don't know if that's an actual word. LP blank. I'm guessing that's their names, right? Is that their names? Sorry, I'm just scanning your. Maybe we don't. I don't need to know. I thought you mentioned them. That's why I'm checking. But personalized, absolutely beautiful. So with a project like this, carte blanche. I mean, you kept the major motifs, which I think is important because it makes it recognizable. And for people who love modern art, they know Hilma af Klint, and they know the story of her life and the crazy twist of her burning her diaries. And I won't tell the whole story because it's, I think, the best story in the history of art. I really do. Her personal story is bonkers. Susan, great to see you. Absolutely love it. Love what you did. Love the colors. You made some tweaks. I love the tweaks that you made because this came out perfect as a textile as opposed to a painting. This makes a lot of sense to me. It's very engaging. It's almost hypnotic. It has a sort of formulaic quality on the bottom, the additional circles. She loved circles. She really believed in her life that because she pulled her compositions out of her consciousness while she was not exactly conscious, she felt that they all came from somewhere more spiritual. And of course, the late Victorian period was one in which a lot of people experimented with and sort of dabbled in spiritualism, whether it was having seances or doing stuff with electricity or whatever. And she was one of most people who were interested in what the relationship is between our world and the spiritual world. And this was one of her great preoccupations. She felt that these shapes that she saw in her, what she would call dreams, right, translating from the Swedish, in her dreams, were things that were from possibly another world. Until, and I hope it's not going to be too much of a spoiler because there's about 100 twists and turns in Hilma's story, until she looked down a microscope for the first time because her partner was a nurse. When she looked down the microscope and she saw the shapes that she saw, she just about fell off her chair because it was the same shapes that she'd been seeing all along. And she was more sure than ever that everything is related, everything is connected, everything is one. She felt that that was absolute proof. And this is one of the compositions that came about during that time, that she was realizing that she didn't just think she was onto something, she actually was onto something. All of these forms that she was seeing for the first time down a microscope, all of these tiny organisms and germs and everything that was put on a slide in front of her were things that she had already seen, which I think is remarkable. Absolutely beautiful. Valerie, we're going to look at your second one a little bit later on. Absolutely love this, and your friends must have loved this gift. Just going to come back for a second, and I'm sorry, I have my pajamas. This is my nightgown right now. Sorry about that. You probably can't tell. You can see, a brassiere strap on the side. I normally dress appropriately, but all of my clothes are in the laundry right now because we're going to Cape Cod first thing in the morning. So this is it. Dave, great to see you. 89 degrees and humid in Toronto. Icy cold, IPA, and pretzels. Are they cold pretzels or are they ones that you microwaved, the big ones from the freezer section? Either way, you can't lose. I've been getting the pumpernickel pretzels lately. They are so good. I'm trying not to eat carbs, but those pumpernickel pretzels, they come as rods, Oh, it's hot. Jessica, you sent in some crazy stuff as always. Jessica Troyer. And Jessica was here not that long ago. It must have been over the summer. Was it in the summer or the fall? No, it was the spring. Because it wasn't that long ago, was it? It was the spring. Jessica came. She was visiting with her family. I got to meet her daughter, Evie. We visited the White Cat Shop on Cape Cod. I'll be there this week. I'll visit with Pat, take some pictures, show you if she has made any new rugs or tell you what she's working on. But you know from that visit, and you know from coffee times and cocktail times, that Jessica is a very busy hooker. I mean, she can't even say she's new anymore. She was new not that long ago. And she is the most prolific hooker I've ever known. When people say to me, how do you do all of it? I say, don't speak to me, speak to Jessica, right? She is like, she puts me to shame. She makes me look like Rumpelstiltskin. Wait till you see what she's been working on. More craziness. So, okay, and first I have to make two announcements that I forgot to make. I have to preface, you know that I'm moving in August, right? This has been an absolutely dreadful time. If you've ever moved, you know the back and forth and all the craziness. So I'm going to have to bump the Rose book it's going to come out later in the year. I wanted it to come out this summer. I was trying to squeak through having it come out in August. There's just no way I can do it. I'm not finished with the writing of it yet. And we're away this coming week, which was booked before we bought a house. We didn't realize we were going to buy a house. And when we get back, we have to pack, and I have to go to solder. So that's it for August for me. And then the kids are immediately back at school. So the Rose book will come out this year, but it will come out. I'll have to see. Maybe I'll have to decide, because it will be ready fairly soon after. It might be that I bring it out at Christmas. We'll see. Maybe a Rose and Christmas would be a fun thing. It'll be out this year for sure. The Halloween book, I am not done at all with, and I am so sorry. Both of the Rose book was supposed to come out this summer. The Halloween book was supposed to come out in October. I'm just not going to be done. I haven't finished half of my projects. And while I'm going to hook all week, this week coming up, I'll never get my stuff done. So I'm going to save the Halloween book, the second one called The Mystic Carpet, for next year. So if you have something in it, sit tight. It is coming out. I can even get it out at the end of the summer. We can plan a big party. I think I am still going to have a fall hook in, regardless. Celebrate the Haunted Rug book still. So that will be coming out next year, and I'm sorry for the delay on that. I am just not ready with my stuff, and I only sleep about 4 hours a night. I can't do any better than that. So we will look forward to the Mystic Carpet coming out next year. I say that because the next images are from the Mystic Carpet. If you have something in the Rose book, or you didn't quite finish something that you wanted to put into the Rose book, guess what? You have time now. You will see the Rose book this year for sure. So Jessica has been already hooking some of the designs. These are Kirsten Gay's designs for the Mystic Carpet. So that'll be 2026. So take a look at these. Jessica writes, hello, Deanna. Here's what I've been working on this month. Oh, I have these in the wrong order. Okay. I definitely have these in the wrong order. Let's see. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm just scanning the text. You know, I don't think Jessica put something. Oh, part 2. That means I missed part 1. Okay, hang on. Hang tight with me for a second. I'm going to go into my email, and we are going to find part 1. Man, do I wish Rebecca would just send me a quick text message and say, I'm here, I made it. Always worried about my mom picking people up at the airport, you know. It's so stressy. Okay, let's see. Let's find Jessica's text number 1. Say a little prayer for that Rebecca is with my mom, and she is now out of the airport situation, and all is good. Okay, let's see. Ha. Okay, no, this is the same one. Okay, wait a minute. Let me go to number 2. We got this. Gallery night 2. Yes, here we go. Okay. Hi, Deanna. I'm not sure if you want to include these in gallery night since it's for the Mystic Carpet. I finished a set of 4, and this series is called Halloween Hooligans, all designs by Kirsten Gay. The first one is called, this is not the first one. Okay, we're going to have to figure this out as we go along. So we've got to choose from Raven in the Moonlight, Woof or Treat. Okay, this has got to be Who is Among Us? Like, who? Mom, you're there, and Rebecca's there. Okay, so good. I knew you were going to make it. I was just hoping there wasn't a communication thing because I wasn't on my phone to help. Yay. Nice and snubby. Oh, I'm so glad. Good. All right. Awful, but good. So this one must be the owl one. So this is called Who Among Us. Now, this is the only time I'm going to show these 4 images, because the next time you'll see them, they will be in Mystic Carpet. But you have got to see them in the meantime, because come on, look at this. So the series is called Halloween Hooligans, and Kirsten's idea is about animals dressing up. So this is animals dressing up for Halloween. So these are the cats, which must mean that this is called A Tale of 3 Kitties. Oh, that's very clever. See what you did there? Tale of 3 Kitties. And this must be Woof or Treat. I mean, how cute is this as a series? So adorable. And Kirsten's been working on some really different things, really different design things. This is Raven in the Moonlight. So the premise is that all of these animals are dressed up for trick-or-treat, and they're in sets of 3, and they're all kind of going off carousing. So who knows? For all we know, there may be more of that series since there is now more time to work on that. Now, this is part 2. So Jessica writes, I just finished Hidden Hearts. This is a ribbon candy hooking pattern. So this is one of my patterns. This is an old pattern, and I do love this one. It's a very folky bouquet, but you can see that there's a few hearts in there. It's not like a bouquet of heart flowers, but Wendy says Halloween animals are delightful. And Melissa says, adorable. The series is fabulous, Sue says. Adorable. I really love them as well. And isn't she so fast and so good? Did you notice, I just have to flip backward, did you notice that in all of them she's sort of appliquing actual fabric on? So they're not just hooked. She's doing some surface fills that are fabric, like quilt fabric. I think this one is the most obvious. April loves this series. They are great. Oh, they are great, aren't they? Oh, absolutely love them. And I love this, Hidden Hearts. So Jessica made this. Her son loves hearts as a gift for her friend. Okay, so this is a gift for Jessica's friend. Her son loves hearts, and her favorite color is purple. I hope she likes it. She is a rug hooker as well, and I tried to pick a more subdued color palette that is more her taste. Back when I was first getting started a couple of years ago, she gave me a couple of bags of wool noodles, and she had left over from a project to get me started, and I included some of that dark purple in the background. I always try something new to challenge myself, and in the basket I used locker hooking and weaved yarn vertically. I really like how it turned out. Oh snap. So have you done locker hooking? They are adorable, Kaz. Locker hooking is very different than rug hooking and latch hooking. Locker hooking traditionally, and this is an exception, works on a latch hook backing. So the very wide window pane, stiff open canvas, right? That's a typical. And you're working with a tool that looks like a crochet hook, but it has a big hole in the other end. So a hook on one end and a giant eye like a sewing needle on the other end. And you are threading it, in this case with yarn, and dragging it through, right? Dragging it under. You're dragging a yarn, you're doing a loop and dragging under it with the hook. In this case, yarn. Sometimes it's fabric, in this case, yarn. And in other words, you lock the hook on the surface because there is a piece of yarn that has burrowed, tunneled under the loops. So if the loops are in, and they are, in this case, vertical rows, there is one strip of yarn that is tunneled under all of the loops each time. So does it look very different to look at than rug hooking? No, but it is a completely different technique. So interesting. It's good to try everything, isn't it? And I love how Jessica has been crocheting her edges. I did a very long video on crocheting with sock yarn, or you crochet with anything, worsted weight, whatever, mohair, anything. But crocheting with, it's a long video, and it's completely comprehensive. You will, if you pause the video, be able to do it 100%. It is such a good, fast, easy way to finish something, and you're able to introduce another funky textile, in this case like a variegated yarn. Really fun, right? Now let's see. So Jessica says, this is another project. I hooked one of my daughter Evie's doodles, and I plan to turn it into a pillow to go with the mermaid pillow I made a couple of months ago. So Evie and I were doing these doodles when we went to the Cahoon Museum, when they visited the Cahoon Museum in Katuitt on Cape Cod. We were doing these doodles into the black ink thing, you know, like with the scratcher pencil. And I did a mermaid, and Jessica did the mermaid. She hooked it. And I showed that on Cocktail Time a month or two back. Now this is Evie's doodle, and so she's going to turn this also into a pillow to make as a companion. And she said, I used tie-dye shirts, a hint of velvet. Oh, wait a minute. Has she done it already? Nope, this is something different. Okay, wait a minute. Evie's doodles turn it into a pillow to go with the mermaid pillow. Oh, okay, so I think this one transformed. I think it transformed. Yep, the idea of it, I think, transformed into this, if I'm understanding this right. So Jessica used tie-dye t-shirts, a hint of velvet here and there, and some fun fur yarn. Oh, I can see that for texture. There is a bit of locker hooking here as well. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Gosh. And I plan to finish this with a pom-pom border. Oh, that'll be fun. I was just going to say, what great texture. And the next sentence says, it's very textural. She loves it. I wish you all the best in selling the house. Oh, thank you. That part is done and over. Knock on wood, unless something changes. Thank you. Judy says it's a little more pixelated looking than rug hooking. Yep, let's look at that again, the locker hooking. It is a little more pixelated. It's more rigid because there is something under the loops, right? They aren't just hanging out on their own. They're actually being supported. So yeah, it maybe has slightly more of an embroidery look, a needlepoint look, a little bit more solid, right? I think that's a good point. Because of the squares. Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's an interesting thing because when you look at this piece, you can tell that the basket is different. Something is different, and it's definitely the basket. So what a great opportunity in a composition like this to hook all the flowers, the background, the lamb's tongues, as traditional rug hooking, but then to pick out just that basket and to think, oh, let's do something different with that. And Judy's right, it is a really fun effect. Really cool piece. All very cool pieces. Jessica works so fast. It is amazing. Marilyn Brown sent this piece and it warmed my heart. She wrote, "Hi Deanna, I thought you would enjoy seeing the finished pattern from last year's hooking event in Stockbridge at the Red Lion Inn. So fun to make since I used your hooking material, which I don't typically use. So much fun to pull together." So last year when we had this event, Shannon was here with her daughter, and we were, oh, I didn't realize there was more. I'm big on table mats. So Marilyn says, I'm big on table mats. So I added backing to it, which is the second photo in case you're wondering what that is. You know what, let me pull that up on my phone. Looking forward to this year's event, which I hope I can attend. Yeah, I really need to get back in touch with the Chamber of Commerce or the Cultural Center, whatever the place was that I had that good lead that wasn't $1 million, Let me see if I can pull this up. She's got some beautiful plain wool on the back of this. I'll just show you the back. I was so happy when I got this because last year, so the back looks like this. Like a gray and orange check. Very unusual fabric too. I would love to find that fabric. We did the grab bags last year and they helped with that, and I transferred about 70. I did it with I didn't do it my usual way with fiber tape. I did it because there were 70 of them. I transferred onto monk's cloth with the pen, the heat release transfer pen, right? Sulky. It was sulky. And yeah, and so I had to trace the design maybe twice, and I got definitely 30 something out of each one. And the reason I chose monk's cloth was because when you're doing transfer of lines with heat, if it's very textured, sometimes it usually doesn't come out well. When it's very flat, like monk's cloth, came out very, very well. So that was a big project, and I was so happy to see that someone had done it because it wasn't small. It's like a table mat size, something like this, maybe 9 inches, something like that, like a mug rug size. And she used, I had the bats printed, right? They were bats with holes in the arms, and I did I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 novelty Halloween colored fabrics tied to each of them, right? This is what we were doing the day before when I thought I would start crying blood because it was so stressful. But we got there in the end. We got all the what do you call those party bags? Grab bags? They're called something, I forget. Loot, no. Swag bags. We got all the swag bags done, and it was so nice to know that Marilyn had used some of the materials in the thing, and I see some of the materials in there. And I just love the way she did this little guy. It was like a little sheep wearing a witch's hat on top of this wagon with pumpkin wheels, and one of them was kind of tipped to the side. So yeah, that made me really happy, and it reminded me I have got to get this done. I have got to get the planning of this done. Everything has just been too much lately, but I would love to plan this. Marilyn, thank you so much for sending that. Absolutely love that piece. Now, I got another interesting email this past week from Constance. And Constance wrote, "Hi, Deanna. I have had an oval hooked rug for many years that is from the 1910s or 1920s. It was hooked on burlap backing, and that was really starting to break down, so I put it away. Sadly, it has been devoured by moths while in storage, and I can't salvage it. I have measured and photographed it carefully. Looks like it's outside, so that's good. Carefully, in the hope of having it recreated or recreating it myself one day. I make many things, but hooked rugs isn't one of them. The rug is also unusual in that the pile was clipped. I found your YouTube video about your clipped pile rug, and I knew I'd found someone with knowledge about these rugs. I have kept swatches of wools used and will make a pattern of the rug by scaling up the photos to its dimensions. Do you know anyone who might want to take on a reproduction of this little rug? I'd love to preserve this little piece of history from the Western Catskills. Best wishes, Constance. So let me take a sip of my drink and let's talk about this for a second. Now, my first thought with reproducing a rug was my friend Pat, who I'm going to see this week on Cape Cod, because her business is at 90% restoration and repair. So she's the person I think of, a lot of the people who used to do repairs, you could count on for restoring a rug, they're just not doing it anymore. And that's most people. And I know because I tried to have some stuff done this past year. Remember, I was driving around even to other states, dropping projects off, and people just starting them and saying, I just can't, it's too much work. So it is hard to find someone. This is not a huge rug. And I thought, let's see what Pat says. So I haven't heard back from Constance. I put her in touch with Pat. But you know what? I'm also going to put the word out there and just say, for those of you who feel like you already have enough rugs, right? And man, I know that feeling. I keep going because it's a business and I love it and I keep creating new stuff. But if you feel like I don't need to do rugs for myself anymore, I mostly do rugs as gifts, that kind of thing. I know we've done this before, but we were talking about punching and stuff before. Let me know. Just let me know. I'm going to start a new list because it's been a while. If you would ever want to do a project like this, if, for example, Pat says, I've got too many projects waiting right now, is anybody interested in recreating that rug, right? Being hired to recreate that rug? Let me know, because I could put you in touch with Constance if it turns out that Pat has too much on her plate right now. And in general, I do get this, oh, Joy, good to see you. I'm sorry, I missed your note. I do get this sometimes. So if you feel like you're someone who could recreate stuff, please let me know, because I will get in the habit of just sending things your way. And when I get an email like this, I will just routinely forward it to you, and then maybe you could write back to me and say, I wrote back, it's all set, I found someone to do it, or I'm doing it myself, or just keep me updated so I know I can, in my mind, tie that off and that we've answered the person. But I would love to have people who I can go to who do want this kind of work. So this is curious to me because I agree, I don't think it's a 1910s rug, I think it's a 1930s, possibly 1940s rug. But I think it's one of these sort of Aunt Lydia, one of these early catalog rugs. Could even be one of the brands that did both latch hook and hooking. The fact that it's clipped, I don't think it's a latch rug. I think it's a hooked rug, but a lot of those patterns were advertised as clipped rugs. So if you got the paper instructions with them, it would tell you to clip the rug. What's really curious about this one for me is that the moths have been at the wool. And I say that because a lot of these early rugs that were kitted in the early 20th century, it was either not wool or it was moth-proofed wool. And that moth-proofing of the wool was very fast. I mean, in terms of like its lasting ability. It was like, it remains moth-proof. So that says to me that this rug was done in actual wool, and it was not wool that was sold with it, because much later, kitted wools were being sold either as part of the kit or in department stores where you would say, I'll take that rug, and they were typically patterns like this, color-coded, like a paint by number, and the person would say to you, okay, I will give you the accompanying colors, so I'll give you S and J and K and 3, 1, and whatever. And each pattern company had their own yarn colors, and they tried to sell them in tandem. And they took it a step further. They not only tried to sort of piggyback the yarns with the patterns, they also tried in their advertising to make you believe that other yarns wouldn't work. It was subtle, but it was successful. So this is a curious rug because somebody made this rug and did not use the yarn that went with the rug. Because this, I would have a really hard time believing this was anything but one of those early kits. They were sold separately, but most people were talked into using the yarns that they were given. And this person was not talked into that. So that in itself is interesting. Karen says, I will ask our rug cooking friends out there in Colorado, see if anyone wants to tackle this. Can you post the photo for reference? Absolutely. You know what? I will. And I'll write to Constance and tell her just in case Pat's not able to do it. You know I throw a lot of things to Pat, I have to say. Judy says it's a little more, oh, okay, that was the last one. The only other thing I would say about this rug is I could be altogether wrong, and this could be a Riddermere rug. You know what I'm going to do really fast? I'm going to Google Lens it while we're sitting here together, and let me see if I can come up with anything. Guessing not, but you never know, because it looks like, and I know you know what rugs I'm talking about, it looks like those early 20th century patterns, but it's a little more complicated, a little more, and it could be just that this person was very confident, knew exactly what she was doing, felt comfortable with cutting up her own material, and thought nothing of leaving the yarns behind in the store. Now it's bringing up a lot of oval-shaped rugs, but not, oh, I might have found it. Oh my gosh, I might have found it. Hold on. Ooh, I think I found it. Oh wow, wait till you see this. If you're on your phone, let's see. Hook rug, Hook American hook rug. It looks like one of these rip-off sites where they are, and it's not bringing up that particular rug. Classic, right? It looks like one of these rip-off sites. I can't be sure. Let me show you the rug on camera because it really looks like this. You know what else? It's very similar in color. It's not exactly the same colors, but look at this. Lock the colors there in with your eye and get ready. Okay, now come back. Stay looking. All right, get ready. It's the same rug, isn't it? Brown is the same. Everything was brown in those days. The pink is the same for these early rugs, right? There's very limited what was offered, and it was very sort of slanted how they sold them, how they packed them, how they always kitted them separately, right? You would stand there while they, and this is the same in some needlepoint stores now. You stand there while they put it together for you. I haven't bought needlepoints lately, but when I did buy needlepoints most recently a few years back, now I'm out of focus, on Martha's Vineyard, and I think that store is closed now. I mean, I would stand there for like an hour and a half while she kitted each color. So it was still being done like that in a lot of places in modern times too. But it is very interesting that the moths got that rug because she used wool, and those yarns were not yarns that moths would have attacked. So good on the person who originally made this rug. I think there's a picture of the back of it as well. Definitely a confident hooker, right? To get, let's look at the back of it. Yeah, this is the back of it. It's hooked with yarn. It doesn't look like it's that bad, does it? I'm going to have to talk to her more about this. Maybe I'll call her. Now, wait a minute. Let's come to the front again. Okay, yep, same colors. It's not even that faded, is it? I want to talk to her a little bit more about this, because don't you think if you could get rid of the moths, put it in the freezer, beat it out, get everything gross out of it, and I think you could salvage with bias tape the edge of it, or just add a layer, or at least sew a border on this in burlap or linen or whatever, and I guess it depends on if you want to use it for a rug, and then hook through multiple layers. Couldn't you even, gosh, I mean, couldn't you even extend it, make it a little bit larger, like mount it onto a larger piece of burlap, and just tidy up the edges that are damaged, truly attach it, right? Like attach it with diagonal stitches behind, like loose running stitches. Completely attach it, and then hook a border around it, right? I would even sew it, like sew the edges, like sew it on there good, so it is essentially one piece. And then, and you know what else I would do if I was going to do that? In the center, I would take a needle and thread and come up and down. Remember, these aren't loops. This is a cut rug. Come up and down in between just to make sure that I caught it at many points, right? Many points. Do that diagonal. Don't do that with the grain. It'll give more strength to the rug. But you could mount this to another piece of burlap and hook more brown around the edge. Might not be exactly the same brown, but this is a very small border. If you made it the same size border or a little bigger border, you could finish this so it looked like it always had a little bit of a thicker border. You could even say, screw it, I'm going to put a navy border on there and just use this as the center rug, having killed the moths. Because it doesn't look that ravaged to me. I'm going to have to talk to her about that. I mean, everybody feels differently about what's possible, right? But I think those are some fairly good ideas. You know, you have to think creatively when you're repairing rugs, because for each rug it's a different story, and they're in different stages of disrepair and distress. And knowing that there's a different answer for each one, it's like therapy, right? It's like therapy for people. It's not going to be the same answer or the same medicine or the same cure. I'm still out of focus. I have like this glamour film on me, don't I? I kind of love it. From one person to the next, and certainly not from one rug to the next. Sharon, great to see you. Great to see you. Welcome. Happy Friday. So Wendy, you are up. I'm just going to have a sip of my thing, and let's come over here. Oh, you did first and last, didn't you? You did first and last. Oh, I love it. Remember, I gave a shout out for first and last. I think Wendy's the only person who did it. So I'm going to, when you send me first and last, or you send something to gallery night, I'm just going to use it in the next gallery night. Whatever it is, I'm going to use it. So Wendy writes to me, hi, Deanna. I can't remember if this is our latest and first or late. Doesn't matter. Totally doesn't matter. Oh, wait a minute. We looked at this one. Did we look at this one? Yes, we did, because I loved this. Now, wait a minute. My first mat was hooked. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like I saw this and I just wanted to bite into it. My first mat was hooked from Pre-Cut Worms, bought on Etsy. The black background is flannel from Joe. You know, Wendy, I might be thinking about the thing you did with the circles of the wood, right? The black background is flannel from Joann Fabric when they were still open, but sold no wool. Now, that makes a lot of sense. You can hook with flannel, right? Just like they did in the 19th century. You can hook with fleece. You can hook. Joann's isn't there, but Michael's is there, right? Hobby Lobby's there. If you find fleece or flannel, you can hook with those. Those are super inexpensive fibers to hook with. And, you know, particularly if you're doing something like this that has some wool in it too, you know, the black is going to fall into the background regardless, right? So it can be any material. It could be t-shirt material. It could be anything. Because with this piece, we are looking at those cat's paws, right? That motif is called cat's paw. We're looking at the cat's paw and going, oh, look at that. Look at that little print. Oh, I wish I had some of that. I know that's what I'm saying. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. I love these kinds of old designs. Sharon says, reminds me of a penny rug. It does. It's just like the pennies in a penny rug, isn't it? It's just like that. That reminds me, I've got to write to Suzette Crummell. She's like the penny rug queen. I think she's in Ohio. I got to see how she's doing. Oh, Sylvain, sweet little kales, sweet little kales. Absolutely beautiful pattern. Love the colors. It has that primitive color palette, but it is funky. It is funky, and I love that the background is black flannel. I think that is so smart, because even someone who is an absolute cakes. Okay, I got it, cakes. I thought that was just a word that I didn't know, you know. Cakes, oh, great. And Sue says, reminds me of my grandmother's rug in front of her sink. Oh, Melissa says, love cat's paw. Have to do one. You know, these old patterns like cat's paw are so much fun. And they can't be perfect. You have to make sure that they're not perfect. And with patterns like this, You can and you should think about using more material than just wool, right? Different fibers, because the early cat's paw rugs that were made that went in front of grandmother's sinks, those were made from a lot of different materials, and really hardly any wool, if any, at all. So see what you've got. This is a great way to do a hit or miss project, isn't it? Right? You don't have to color plan this. Just get started, get a feel for it, get into your groove, see how it goes, and then start adding color and rethinking your color plan as it evolves. Now this, Wendy, is your latest 8-inch mini punch of mythical creatures found on my friend's room-size Persian rug. See photos. I've got those photos for you. I plan to make this into a pillow for her 80th birthday later this year. I used acrylic yarn, and I tried to color plan based on the yarn I already had. Thanks for the opportunity to show our work. Cheers. Cheers, my dears. This is the best time of the month when we can see what everybody's doing. Oh, I just love this piece. I love the color plan. I love, the animals in it super evoke an Eastern style carpet, right? I mean, they absolutely do. The sort of wobbly outline of them, that is exactly what animals look like on carpets that come from the Middle East, that come from Asia. Absolutely amazing. So I love this color palette. These are all neutrals, with the exception of the rusty orangey color. Otherwise, all neutrals. And it's so curious that you are able to make this into such a colorful piece, not using a huge amount of color. But it reads as a very colorful piece. It's also a very smart composition. The introduction of some of the stylized, sort of Jacobean style plants, flowers, buds, leaves that are kind of springing in from different parts of the composition, north, south, east, west. And you've broken it up into a checkerboard pattern, which is probably the oldest pattern in the history of art. And you've put in, facing in perfect directions, these characters from a Persian rug. So let's look at some of in the way that they're positioned is important too, isn't it? Right? Because you would really need to think about that to get it right, to get the composition right. So here they are. Here the buddies are in the rug. And also a very soft color palette, more blues here. I love the color palette that you did. It is very gentle. Absolutely perfect. What a gift. What a thoughtful gift. And what a brainstorm. You must have felt so excited and pleased with yourself when you thought of what a great idea it would be to use the characters in this rug. Does she know this part? That you took photos of the characters in the rug? I think this is absolutely brilliant. And here you are drawing out the patterns. These look like they might be the yarns. What is it? Pretty Punch, the Pretty Punch brand. A lot of these brands of acrylic, super thin yarns. Sometimes with the mini punch, depending on what one you're using, if you're using the Pretty Punch, just about anything goes through it, but that's a vintage one. Very thoughtful gift. If you're using some of the other ones, the Russian ones, for example, there's 3 different Russian needles. Not all fibers will fit through all 3. Typically, this kind of yarn that was made for mini punch will fit through any mini punch. Oh, it's a surprise for her. Even better. If you have stuff like sock yarn, those things will often fit through a mini punch. Probably an ultra punch, definitely a Pretty Punch. And again, Pretty Punch is a vintage tool, so we did a thing a couple of years ago where I bought as many as I could find, and I put together kits with as many as I could, and then I ran out and I couldn't get them. You can get them one here, one there on eBay, but if you see them, grab them. And they work for me at least as well as the Ultra Punch. I prefer the Pretty Punch. You use the Ultra Punch, so these fibers are working the same for the Ultra Punch. The only one you have to really look out for the really cheap ones on Amazon. Those are not going to work. Like, they are just not going to work. I hate to be like a naysayer, but they don't work. So you want to look for one of the vintage ones or the Ultra Punch. The Russian ones are great because there's 3, but they're more fiddly with the length of the needle. It's all different problems with different ones. But however you get there in the end, coming up with a piece like this is absolutely remarkable. This is an amazing gift, and I'm so excited for your friend on her 80th birthday that she doesn't even know she has this to look forward to. Absolutely beautiful. Great job, Wendy. No, Michelle did first project too. So Michelle sent this in. She said, "Hello everyone. This is Michelle Holler. Hello everyone. This is my very first punch needle project from March of 2018. I took a class at our local cross stitch shop. I was hooked at first punch. I went on to make more and more and more. I see more on my future, just not right now. Much love, Michelle. Much love to you too." She says, "I'll be back. I will be at a Blue October concert." But that's her favorite band, right? She knows the members. She's made projects for them. But I'll watch it ASAP. This is a great first project, and it's an ambitious first project. It's like a three-dimensional project. I don't know that I would go for this for my first project. Oh, Wendy, you said I also used the pretty punch that you sent me from the split garden. Oh, I'm so glad. That's a beautiful tool. That I love having my pretty punch. I love the ease of it. I love the ultra punch as well. They're both great tools, and of course the ultra punch is readily available. I'm just having a quick sip. So what a great first project. It's a three-dimensional project, which to me, it would have backed me up a little bit for my first project, not Michelle. She is so brave, and she even attached this sort of hanger and tassel to it. So beautiful. If I made this for a first project, you can be sure that I would be doing more of it. It's such a pretty thing, and it makes me think, I'm planning the Christmas festival at the church. I'm bringing it back, and I know I'm going to have a lot of helpers, so I'm not worried about that. Everybody is very forthcoming with help. But it's been years since we've had it at this church because the last iterations were plagued with people fighting over who brought what for the potluck. So we're not having that. We're going to do catering and buying food from out the window. But I am brainstorming already, and I could use your help for this. Ideas for things that we can make, or I can set people up to make that can be like donated, that will be like holiday stuff. Don't think just Christmas, think like the whole winter season, right? Things like that, Christmas stuff too, obviously, but things like that people could make, because all of these Fridays that we're together, sometimes people show up and they're just like, oh, I brought my coffee because I don't really have a project right now. It's like, well, here you go. Not that I'm going to saddle everybody with a project, but I do want to brainstorm, fun things. And there's a difference between things that people might want to buy at a Christmas bazaar that are, I do love the nostalgic popsicle stick stuff and the pom-pom stuff. But I'm thinking maybe like one level up, you know what I mean? If you have seen projects or you've done projects for your fairs and bazaars and things like that, I would love to have some ideas. If you send them to me either on Facebook or to my email at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. I have so many materials there in our fabric library. I would love to start setting people up with some little projects, because the more stuff we have, the more stuff that we can sell, get some donations, right? Cut paper snowflakes are always fun for the kids, definitely. Maybe with a little glitter. I know we're going to have to tarp the floors, like all of the floors are carpeted. We're going to have to tarp out all of the floors, but I don't see why we can't make messes with paper snowflakes, because that is really magical. Ruth, great to see you. Time got away from you. It's Friday night. That can happen, right? So fun, Michelle. This is such a fun project, and I hope that you had a great time at the concert. I love them too. Linda B., you sent in a beautiful project. Sorry. Why am I choking? Why am I choking on a fruit shake? Rebecca says, quilly tree ornaments. That is a great idea. That is a great idea. I'm just thinking of all the noodles I have. That is a really good idea, particularly if I make 1,000,000 quillies first, or if anyone would like to donate a million quillies that I could bring in and we could stitch them for people. You know what? I think people are fully capable of sewing quillies, aren't they? Even if you're not like artistic. I think that would be a great thing to make. Maybe we could even put the quillies on like styrofoam balls. Is this going too far now? Or on something flat like a felt tree? I wonder if in between the quillies you could glue, okay, sequins, sorry. Probably not, or at least sew them, right? I'm really being transported back to 1975 right now. That's a great idea. I have to watch the replay for the first half. Yeah. We had some trouble getting on tonight, Ruth, but we got there in the end. Wooden ornaments, my mom says, then glue quillies on them. Okay, that sounds a bit more professional. That sounds really good. I want to do that. I want to absolutely do that, because if you did that with quillies, you know how they sell wooden ornaments that are also like in the shape of, for example, a candy cane, or an actual ornament, like an old-fashioned shiny bright kind of an ornament, you know, in different shapes. That could be really fun. Aileen's fabric fusion glue, was just using that yesterday. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I so want to show you the project that I just finished for Magpie, but I guess I'll wait till Magpie comes out. It has to do with fabric glue. That's what made me think of it. This is great. This is great. I love this. And I guess you could do this for besides Christmas, right? Because most people, you know, will celebrate Christmas, but a lot of people won't. So we could do some other things that are with the quillies that are like snowflakes or reindeer maybe, or glue quillies together to make wreaths. Okay, now what would the backing be for that? That would be mind-boggling. I don't think I would be able to sell those. I think I would have to keep like all of them, because the color would be like a kaleidoscope. Each one would be like a kaleidoscope. What would the background, would you like get like one of the wooden circles to attach them to? Cardboard. Yeah, you could definitely do cardboard. I like that. You know, there's a lot of those wire frames too that are more for florists. I wonder if you could get them on there. I guess you'd have to, and you could make quillies a bit bigger, right? Some could be bigger, some could be smaller, but some could be made out of sweater material. Do you remember years ago I was doing, for the first book, I was cutting up actual sweaters, and I was using like the cuffs and stuff I mean, I wouldn't use the whole cuff, right? The cuff would be, I was using like cutting the cuff in half, but the quillies were like an inch thick. Now those would be some formidable quillies that you could use for something, like for a wreath. You could really attach those to each other. I like this. And Rebecca says you can get flat wooden wreath forms or paper board. Yes. Mom, can you write these ideas down? I don't have a pen with me, and these are great ideas. We're going to get people going. Moving on from those emotional support chickens, and we're going to start doing the Christmas quillies. That's it. Love these ideas, but keep them coming. If you think of something, I would love to hear about it. Melinda says wide wool strips folded like ribbon candy. Of course, folded like ribbon candy. You know, I've seen glass ornaments that look like ribbon candy, and I saw somebody, I used to have it in the old studio, I don't know where it went, took like a piece of the ribbon. Remember the ribbon from the like 80s that we would put on barrettes and stuff for your hair with the two pieces hanging down? It was one of those, but a little bit wider, and she sewed it, grosgrain, right? It was grosgrain ribbon. It was grosgrain ribbon, and she sewed it like, you know, ruched it like ribbon candy and put like a bead in between each one. And I liked it, but I didn't love it because it wasn't very stiff. But if I could figure out how to make those thicker or make them like with wool, oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Add a little plastic ivy in between the quillies. Ooh, that's a really pretty idea too. Ooh, and then everybody who's pagan in the congregation would go for that in a second, right? Little bit of greenery in there. April says you can get blank shapes and used to be able to get flat wood shapes in bulk. Oh, you used to be able to from Oriental Trading. Great for church and school projects. Okay, I still get their catalog, so I might as well try them. That's a great idea. Wide wool strips folded like ribbon candy. I'm going to have to think on that too. I forgot about that. And it's right there. It's right there on the screen. I'm looking at it. That's a really good idea too. See, these are all things that would work so well. So much fun to work on when you don't feel like working on a big project, right? Which, if I'm honest, is half the year. I don't feel like working on a big project. I'm too scattered. I'm too rushed, chasing my tail. I'd rather work on small projects. Stuff like this is perfect, isn't it? Karen says, cover styrofoam balls with quillies. I think that would work great. I don't see why not. I think that would work great. Melissa said, I had a pair of earrings made from wool strips, made into a ribbon candy shape. Sadly, I lost them. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Kaz made me some once that were made from beads. I wear them a lot on the show. I don't have them on tonight, but they're actually already packed because they're always in my little jewelry box. That's a great idea too, and it actually looks great. Like that shape looks great as an earring. It makes a lot of sense. Um, these are all great ideas. It's a great idea to make jewelry too, you know. When I think about, I'm stopping and we're going to get back to gallery night, but when I think about, you know, I have one of those blanks, like jewelry blanks, that's like a bevel thing, like it's like a circle or a square, and it has almost a stand-up frame around the edge, you know what I mean? Like not an actual frame, but just like one ridge standing up. And how a lot of people make and take classes where you do one quilly and then you just glue it in there, and it's just the one. And when it's on a metal base, this is not one of them, but when it's on a metal base, then the wool doesn't touch your skin. Like even with one quilly, if it was touching me right here, I would be like scratching constantly. Those are really cool too. If I could find a good place to get those blanks, they would make awesome jewelry things, you know, for Christmas too, and for selling at like a church bazaar or a craft bazaar, right? Who doesn't want some beautiful piece of jewelry that you could sell for not too much because it didn't take that much time to make, right? Melinda says, graduated wool strips tied into knots on a string to create Christmas tree shape with a cinnamon stick trunk. I've seen something like that, not exactly like that. I've seen something like that, more of a macrame angle, and I love that, like a ribbon candy tree. That was amazing. I'm gonna have to see if I can pull that up again. I think that's a great idea. And you know, there are holidays in between. If some of you are having booths and stuff at autumn festivals, right? These are ideas. You just change the theme, maybe change the color of the wool to be autumn colors, and you've got some good ideas here for some really pretty things to sell that are super saleable. How do you feel when you're at a fair and you approach a table that has the kinds of stuff we're describing? I feel like I have to knock people down. Like I feel like I have to knock people down to get out of the way so I can get there first and take all of the things that I want. I get crazy in these situations. It's so fun to find amazing things at craft fairs, isn't it? And things that are possible for us to make, even better. And Karen says, instead of covering styrofoam balls with quillies, you could use wool dryer balls. You could use them, and you could also dye them with the same dyes we use for everything else. And you could do them in different sizes, right? Because you wouldn't want to do the really small ones, but you could do the larger ones, right? There's the medium and the large, and then there's the crazy large, right? That would, like, if it fell, you know, it would kill the cat. We don't want those. But that's a great idea. The medium size is not too heavy, and then you could dye it just in case you saw in between the quillies, then it would be a colored wool. I'm going to keep my eye on the thread, but I'm going to keep on going. These are amazing ideas. Judy said, last year for solstice, I made a bunch of 4-inch needle punch tiles to use as rug mugs, rather than seeing on fabric backing, seeing on fabric backing, to use as rug mugs rather than fabric backing. I ordered a bunch of 4-inch icy adhesive sewing. Rather than sewing on the fabric backing, you ordered the cork squares from Amazon and slapped them on. That's a great idea too. That's a great idea. These are all great ideas. These are not the crafts of the 70s that I grew up with, right? We're not talking, nobody said, how about a popsicle sled, right? Nobody said that. How about a pipe cleaner candy cane with some of those flat beads, you know, with the 4 sides that lock into each other when you put them together. God, I love those too. Candlesticks. These are great ideas. I'll keep an eye on the thread because I'm loving these ideas. I really appreciate it. I love to brainstorm. Linda, I am so sorry. That was a crazy cul-de-sac, wasn't it? Linda, you sent this beautiful piece in and wrote, hi, Deanna. This Mondrian inspired design for the rug was drawn by Karen Garby for hers and Kirsten's upcoming article in the September issue of Magpie. I tweaked it a bit to enlarge the rug to approximately 24 by 18. Materials used were 100% wool, number 8 strips from deconstructed wool clothing, including women's suits and a scarf for the border. Hooked it into rug warp. Some of the material was thicker than the rest, so I would have had an easier time pulling loops if I had switched to a number 6 strip. But I was on a roll. I hear that. Oh my God, I hear that. I will finish the edges by turning the backing back, mitering the corners, and stitching in place. That'll be perfect. That'll be, and this is such a beautiful piece. I love the Mondrian inspired pieces. Love talking about modern art because, you know, Mondrian was known for his geometric compositions. And you always will have the people who say, "No, my granddaughter could have done that." And at the time that he was doing this, nobody else was doing this, right? He was essentially experimenting with shapes, with color, with optical illusions, with the relationship between colors as they touched on each other, right? He was experimenting with all of this. It was a grand experiment. It was a worthy experiment, and it made some of the most beautiful, iconic, recognizable, decorative textiles the world will ever know, right? But this is iconic. The colors are very different, and I love that. I think there's 2 different shades of blue here. One more like a purple blue, like more like going toward indigo, unless it's just my eyes. Mondrian, the key is simple colors, right? If you have too many colors, then we're talking about something that looks more like a patchwork quilt. Nothing wrong with that. But, you know, if you want it to look like Mondrian, then it has to remain simple, right? There has to be a limited amount of colors. It's going to be a very controlled palette. It's an absolutely beautiful piece, right? It's a very sort of high art piece. The colors are a real departure from Mondrian, and that's exciting for me. Because it's not blue, yellow, and red, right? It's much more sort of juicy. To me, these are 80s colors, like the teal and the sort of paprika color, the blue color, and they're more my colors from my era. This is so pretty, Linda. I really love this piece. I'm so glad you sent it. And thank you for telling us the thing about rug warp is very, very tight. Rug warp is the tightest backing, right? Followed closely by monk's cloth, and then linen is looser and burlap is looser yet. But rug warp is quite tight. And, you know, even pulling 6s through, 6s are hard enough. When I do a piece using 5 cut in rug warp, I feel it more than I would in any other backing. And sometimes I pursue rug warp with a different combination of materials because I know that my end game is to not just use the cut wool strips, but also to use some really fine yarn. So then I think, well, meet me in the middle. You know, I'll have like some wool strips. Those will be a little bit harder to pull through, but then I'm using some really fine stuff. And rug warp is really right for that. So, I got to catch up on these comments too. I love it, Linda. That's such a pretty piece. I can't wait to see the next Magpie. I've got a few pieces that I'm finishing now. The piece I just mentioned, it's actually 3 pieces. And I'm working on a couple of things that I hope to finish soon to get them into Judy on time too. So much going on. And I'm going to read some of these great ideas as we brainstorm. Sharon says, you can do felting on dryer balls. Oh my God. Of course you can. Needle felting. Oh my God. I'm going to make a deer head. I'll show if it comes out. Oh, please do. That's a great idea. Of course you can do needle felting on felt because it's felt on felt. And then you wouldn't even need the foam thing, right? Because you're just right into the felt ball. What if, I'm going to have to slap my own face. What if you dyed, I wouldn't want to soak a whole wool ball, right? Because it'd be like, then it would weigh like 10 times its own. I would think about doing some surface dyeing or using like an eyedropper or even painting or some hairdresser bottles on the outside of a wool ball and then doing a little bit of needle felting, right? I would always have to take it to an extreme. That would be really interesting. If you did that, you could also sew on some little embellishments, right? Like not just like, I'm always looking for opportunities to use like sequins and beads and things like that. But you could also sew on like ribbons and little cords and stuff, right? That would be amazing too for like the outline of. Oh my gosh, this we're on to something here. Karen says, make gnomes using dryer balls. I'm gonna have to look that up. I know it would work with the little cone head on a circle. Just thinking about the body, you'd have to put something else on it too, right? Like a little jacket, little red jacket kind of a thing for a gnome, or a green jacket, if we're talking about the Dutch kabouters. Nobody heard me. They sound cute. Oh, they do sound cute. I want to look that up. Everybody loves gnomes. That is a great idea. Everybody does love gnomes. In Dutch, they're called kabouters, and they're a little bit mischievous, you know. Karen says, Linda B looks amazing. Yeah, it does look amazing. You know, it's so great to take an artist like Mondrian and to think about color palette and how it could look different, right? Because sit down as an exercise over the weekend if you have time. Just take a Post-it note. Draw some Mondrian-esque compositions. See if it's easy. It's not as easy as you think. It's not like your first one is like, ooh, perfect, perfect. It's like the first one's like, ooh, that one's lopsided. It has no sort of balance. Like, it doesn't look right to the eye. And maybe the second one and maybe the 10th one, the same thing. You're like, yeah, I've broken it up, but it just doesn't look good. This is the genius of Mondrian, right? It's not as easy as it looks. If it was, your granddaughter would be doing it, right? And the two of you would be, yeah, sleeping on a pillowcase of $100 bills, right? So that's how big I think, right? It's like $100 bill, right? That's where I'm at. But yeah, it's worth doing as an exercise. Never heard of wool dryer balls. Yeah, Ruth, they are like everywhere now, but not every size. There's more sizes. You know, they're in the store. Amazon has them. Etsy has them. I feel like at Etsy they're more expensive, but on Etsy you can get ones that are already dyed, and you can get ones to sew into garlands. The felt ball rug that I put into the current issue of Magpie Times. Some of the balls were dyed. They were white, and I dyed them. Actually, Jocelyn dyed them, and others were ones I bought on Etsy. So they're there too. Those are great. They're for stringing into garlands of different colors and stuff. Those are a lot of fun too. But yeah, the felt balls are out there now. Joy, it does look gorgeous. Looks gorgeous. Such a beautiful piece. Mm. Sharon says, we made cardinals out of dryer balls at our fiber shop. Really? They are adorable. Oh, interesting. I like all these ideas, but I gotta say, I am really dying to see and to try. I'm gonna wait and see first, but that needle felting onto a dryer ball, I think that is absolutely brilliant. Looking at the Mondrian going, I wonder if you could do like a Mondrian type design on a dryer ball with needle felt. Right, putting clash of worlds here. Linda, this is a gorgeous piece. I can't wait to see it in the next issue of Magpie Times. So hey, you know who I was with this week and who's watching right now. Hope it's okay that I put this in the show, Rebecca. I thought you'd be flying, but you must love this photo. You look so pretty in this photo, and I was with you when you bought this dress. So I went up to Sturbridge on Wednesday to see the McGowan show. It's 75 years, right, of McGowan. And their symbol is the rose, so there were a lot of roses in the show. It was absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to show you everything from the show. I want to save that from another day. But I just wanted to show you a couple of people who are special people to me at the show. Obviously, Rebecca, most special person to me. I went there and we were able to link up again, have a little bit more time together. Sorry, I'm just having a sip of my drink. And to look at the show together. So, Rebecca, I want to show, I think I want to skip over here. No, wait a minute. I want to skip further because I'm showing. Hold on one second. Nope, still skipping. There we go. There we go. So, Rebecca, remember the sheepies last week that she showed on Saturday when we were together running the live show last Saturday night? So, you saw the sheepies. Well, she put them on this white tray. This big white tray. Rebecca, how big was this tray? It's just a plain white tray, right? It's a vehicle, and you can actually move it. Did you realize, I did not realize when we were looking last night at the at Alice and what was the other sheepie's name? Alice and you showed us a couple of the rugs. I had no idea that this was such a large scale project. So this is a little display. It's a vignette of a rug show celebrating the anniversary of the McGowan rug show, but the sheepies are having a rug show too. And you can see one sheepie is sitting at the desk, like the welcome desk. She's got her, well, I'll show you a close up of her. She's got a little pair of scissors. And in the distance, the other sheepie is hanging some of the rugs on these, what do you think these display boards are made out of? What do you think? I know you can tell. I just want you to be thoughtful and go, oh my God, it's picture frames, right? It's like connected picture frames. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. This makes perfect sense. Yes, April. I mean, because you remember how last week, yes, remember how last week Rebecca was saying, you know, you can buy miniature everything. So you could buy a miniature toilet brush, I bet, if you wanted to. But it's more fun to make stuff, right? It's just more creative, more fun to make stuff. So she loves figuring out, Rebecca loves figuring out how to make these things, what to find that'll get you there. So it's great that she found these display screens. They're very solid. They work really well. See a little spool table under this. So you can see one of the sheep close up there. Oh, did you notice all of the McGowan books on the table, like miniature versions of the books? Remember last week she told us that the pencils are made from painted toothpicks, right? And dipped in paint, just dipped for a second for the eraser top. Absolutely precious. And here's a close-up. I mean, what? How cute is this? God, you know, when I looked at it, I was standing above it, and it's much better looking at it in photos because I'm really seeing the detail. You did a lot of tiny little rugs too, which is so much work. All I can say is I hope that everybody there walked through the door. This was right on the table as you walked through. I hope everybody walked through, gasped, and just stood there for half an hour at least, looking at this. Look at, there's rugs around the other side of it, like looking at every part of this because it is such a beautiful piece of storytelling. It is absolutely gorgeous. And remember, Rebecca is featured on the cover of the upcoming Magpie Times, the autumn issue, and you will see more sheepies on the inside with a quilt / autumn theme and a creative piece of storytelling that she did in there, rather than another sort of how-to, a creative piece of creative writing. Everyone is a teeny masterpiece. And Karen says, a lot of those rugs are your designs, right, Rebecca? I wonder if they're still on, or if they're over there at my mom's house, Rebecca and my mom. Wonder if they're still on, or if they ordered sushi or something. We'll see. But you know, I think you're right, Karen. Some of them definitely look familiar. I loved this. And you see the tray better here. So you need a base for something to be on, particularly, you know, when you know you have to move it and everything. So absolutely adorable. It's just brilliant. And I think I have one more sheepie. Yeah, there she is. I mean, really? And look at the little miniature things that you fill in, like, you know, your favorite rug and all that, things that are actually at the show. I just noticed she also has the McGowan um, lanyard on, right, with the sheep that has the name in it. Oh, so that's Alice, right? That's Alice because it says Alice in there. They are amazing. It is just so sweet. Okay, they're still there. So Rebecca says, yes, my designs and the tiny rolled ones are photos of some of my finished rugs printed on fabric. Hang on. Hang on. Okay, so wait a minute. We have to come over here and check this out. This is also amazing. Let's look. What's this character's name? Let's see. Maybe we can, hold on, see it on the name tag. Oh, I forget this character's name. So these are also your rugs printed onto fabric. So much detail, you're right. Absolutely adorable. I just love these. I just love them. the storytelling. Oh my God, Lawrence. Oh my God, Lawrence. Look at his hair and his clothes. He is as cute as a button. This is just so fun. It's just something, it's different. It's like something fun that's wool, so it's going to be appealing to wool people, fabric people. It's just, it's like, it's so fun. It's just fun, something different. I'm so happy that this is on the cover of Magpie. I know I'm also advertising Magpie by saying this. I'm advertising Magpie, but I'm also celebrating my good friend Rebecca because she is so talented. And as soon as I thought, what should be on the next cover of Magpie, I thought, obviously, the sheepies, right? I love having rugs and stuff on there, and we will have lots of rugs on there, but I thought, for a change, let's do this. This is different, right? This is something different, and it's so relatable. It's such a lot of fun. Just really love these. So I saw Rebecca at the fair, and I saw another friend at the fair. Hold on here. Wait a minute. Oh, too far back. Still too far back. Hang on. That was ages ago, right? Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Also at the fair, I might be saying this the wrong way, but I think the featured artist, I'm not sure that that's the proper title, but I feel like something like the featured artist at this event was Tracy Jamar. And rightly so, because she is class. When I think, sorry, my chair is creaking like crazy as I stretch. She is class. She does, and I talked about her a little bit at Tigger because after Tigger, this past what was it, September? Because I took the class with her and I enjoyed it so much. I just adore her work. I love the way that she experiments. She's got boards sitting all over the place with, in this case, maybe Dorset buttons, different kinds of. She's using can you see those white things? Do you use those Coffee Mate creamers, the flavored creamers? I know I do. And they all have that on it. So she's even using those to cover, like zero waste. She's a zero waste person. She's trying out all of these techniques, all of these different things that she can use in pieces like this, right? Her coils, quillies and coils, right? She has a book that I believe is called Coils and, it might be called Quillies and Coils. But if you look up Tracy Jamar, Jamar, coils, right? Put it into an internet search or an Amazon search. Her book will come up. Absolutely brilliant book on techniques, using all techniques sort of in combination with rug hooking. But she has got, so many. Sorry about that. So many techniques. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love that dress I had on that day. You can see here, while she's sitting, waiting for people to come by, she's got something going on with Quilly. She's working out a composition. She just does all of her work. Each piece is very different, very unusual. These are more techniques, not finished pieces. This is like ruching when it's just like we were talking about the ribbon candy earlier. It's ruching, slightly tighter ruching, and it's shaped. So you do the ruching and then you cut it into the shape of a leaf. You can do ruching like a rectangle, right? And then you cut the sides of it after it's ruched, and you've got yourself a leaf that you can apply. Rebecca says the theme for the show, besides being the 75th anniversary of the McGowns, was looking back and looking forward. Tracy has such a history in textile conservation, and her contemporary work takes very old techniques. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. She's pulling from everything. She's pulling from every kind of textile design manipulation, as Rebecca says, going back years and years and years, like shearing, shirring, sewing, rugs, etc. Yeah, she is the master of techniques. And I think that's one of the reasons it was a perfect choice for her to be sitting there, because people could come up, look at her work. For example, this is part of her rock phase. She said she really had to stop herself. It sounded like it had turned into a Stop Me Before I Kill Again, and man, I can relate to that. So she was finding all these little rocks and combining compositions with, you can see the hooking and the hooking around the edge, and you see how the border is a ruched piece, right? It's attached, like attaching many ruched pieces and then twisting them. Really interesting. That's right, Karen, we sat together. Such a good class. There were some things that went crazy that drove us crazy, right? Not to do with Tracy, to do with other people who were driving us crazy. But we still had tons of fun. So, she's the kind of person, she is a magpie. She sees things, she wants to use them. She incorporates all kinds of things into her finished pieces. And so every piece was very, very different. And hooking is kind of an overall, you can see there is just some plain exposed wool here. I'm not sure what the technique is on the bottom right. Maybe that's like pressed paper or something. Sewing some rock still on like a giant felt penny, some hooking of what looks like sari ribbon or some very wide ribbon, and a quillies in there as well. Huge collection of quillies. Talk about quilly madness, right? Looks like some knitting, some quilly, some collage of other materials. Just endless sort of, oops, I don't mean oops because I love looking at that piece. There was one other that I wish that I had shown you. And then I have a couple more pieces to share before we are done for tonight. So hang on just a minute. Hang on just a minute. I just want to show you one more piece if I can show you on the phone. I thought it was in there. I don't know how I managed to not put that in there. It was my favorite piece that Tracy had. It is a textile piece that's made from all these strips of wool, none of which are rug hooking wool. It looks like, let me see if it comes out good enough. It looks like this. And maybe you've seen this piece if you follow Tracy. It's just mounted on a canvas that has like a stretched piece of black material over it, kind of stapled on the back. And that's a side view. So it's all of these wools that are no good for hooking. Too thick, too thin, too raggedy-taggedy, too rat-a-tat-a-tooies. So it's all of these pieces she couldn't otherwise use. And she turned it into this piece that almost looks like wood grain or layers of earth. And in the middle there's kind of a knot, which is like a disruption. And then she's got the pieces flowing on top of it and below it. Just like they're like shelves, individual strips. She said this is one of her favorite pieces too, and she's always got this hanging up in her house. I thought that was just extraordinary, and it really appealed to the collector in me. I'm going to say collector instead of hoarder. It really appealed to the collector in me because I have, and I know you have, a lot of wool and a lot of supplies that you just cannot use for hooking. What can you do with it? Something like that, right? Why not? So, okay, so let's catch up again. So I want to come to, reminds me of the storm on Jupiter. That's interesting because I feel like I said, what did I say? Layers of earth. What did I say first? Wood. I said wood first, like it reminds me of like a knot in a tree. But I think it was more planetary. I think her thought, right, is based on something that is more planetary. And my thought was like wood, right? Um, but yeah, I think that is actually the inspiration. And Rebecca says that one was so neat. Sewn folded strips of wool. That's right. Because they were like supporting each other. But she was going like this to the bottom a lot, right? Because people were going like this to it. Can you imagine? Like it was like it's a fidget toy, Um, she was going like this to the bottom to kind of support all of them. So this wouldn't happen at home when it's just hanging on our wall. Um, let's see, looks like the universe. Yeah, you all are getting that sort of celestial, planetary connection. Yep, same thing about Jupiter. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why it reminded me of wood because it was just the one thing that was a circle and everything else was straight. So it is like layers of something, isn't it? Interesting. Beautiful piece, right? So many beautiful pieces there. And we will not lose track of her. She is an amazing artist, and what a great person to feature. As is Rebecca. I came back to the sheepies. We can't get enough of the sheepies, but you don't have to feel like they're leaving you forever because you will see them as soon as the next Magpie comes out. That should be in about a month and a half. Now, I want to introduce a new artist who, if you are Jan, if you are there, Jan Tyrell, if you are there, I have to say, oh my gosh, this is a painted piece I'm showing you first, and it's Jan's painting. Jan painted this piece called Blue Horse, and then she hooked a piece called Blue Horse. And, I don't go into our Facebook group all the time, but I went in this one day and I saw the hooked Blue Horse, and I thought, whoa. I mean, I love everything. I'm always inspired when I look at the page. I love everybody's work, and I try not to miss anything. But I could tell when I looked at it, like immediately that it was someone's work who I didn't know. Like I could just tell. That's one of my superpowers at this point, looking at each other's work for this long and in such detail. I said, unless someone has really changed styles, I have not seen this person's work before. Sure enough. So this is a piece that Jan Tyrell has hooked, and this is the first piece that she's shown us on gallery night. She shared it in the group, and I wrote on the thing, and we got writing back and forth to each other. I was just absolutely blown away. So take a look at this. And this is what Jan writes. She says, my inspiration, well, let me read the whole introduction first, because it's such a sweet message. So Jan writes to Deanna, first I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for your very thoughtful and kind words regarding my recent work. I appreciate your continued interest and request for more information about each hooking piece, because I said to her, can you send these to me so we can share these on gallery night? I think people are going to want to see these pieces. Not everybody's on Facebook. So she writes of Blue Horse. And Blue Horse, let's see the painting first, right? So I'm going to stay here for a second. My inspiration for this rug hooking project was an acrylic painting with accents of metallic gold. I created it a few years ago, measuring 30 by 20. For the rug version, now let me click to the rug version. So this is Jan's painting. Whoa. For the rug version, the linen backing was overall smaller, with a hooking area of 19.5 by 18.5, which presented some design challenges. One of the biggest hurdles was selecting colors online, as the actual materials appeared differently in person, always, right? Always. The discrepancy was compounded by shipping delays, further adding to the challenges. Unfortunately, I did not find a local source near St. Augustine, Florida. I don't know that area well enough. If anyone knows a place, let's shout it out, right? St. Augustine, Florida. So I relied on Google, YouTube, and Etsy for learning and sourcing materials. Feeling intimidated at first, the days elapsed. And then I eventually told myself, just do it. Go for it. As a better color option became available, I often reworked areas, redrew parts of a leg, an eye, and rehooked them. My iPhone came in very handy as a tool to evaluate the composition and make adjustments, showcasing the innovative ways the technology can aid in the creation of art. Now that is so true. So, Jen, I'm not sure if you're on tonight, but everybody's loving it. If you can't see these comments later, Gail is saying, wow, that is amazing. I love it. Sue says, that is exceptional, Jan. Ruth loves it. I mean, it is an extraordinary piece. Let's come back and look at this here. Now, I think, so I'm understanding what Jan means because she created a painting that is absolutely gorgeous. And it's a very particular crop, right? So we're getting like the shoulders, the chest and shoulders of the horse. It's very shape driven, right? The sort of jowl to the face, the sweep, the graceful sweep of the neck. It's very, this composition is very reliant on shapes. She's got a blast, not so much on color. Color is important. She's got the blues and the golds, and the gold is metallic, which isn't going to transfer to rug hooking, right? Because we don't, unless you find some kind of fancy fiber, we don't really have gold metallic wool. You can find things that will substitute. Another part of this painting composition that I think is important is the reflection of the metallic, the glow that reflects on the horse's face and on the horse's sort of breast. And for that reason, the painting has a glow about it. That will be difficult / impossible to do as a hook drug. Different things work on the hook drug. I venture to say different things work better on the hook drug for me. Of course, I'm a textile artist. I love textiles, so this appeals to me much more. It is the same composition. I understand using a different piece of material. You have to make sort of adjustments. But I will say, and I think we can all relate to this sentiment, when you are in the situation where you think you know what you're doing and you're excited to start a project, you think you've got the right supplies, you've probably spent too much money already, you sit down to do it and you realize there's all kinds of problems, right? And sometimes for me, everything at that point is stupid. And then it really falls apart. So you sit down with the best intentions and you realize, okay, this is not the same proportions as my piece. I think I'm going to have to create a different composition. Can I capture the feeling of the painting in this now that I have to change it? And now look at these stupid materials, right? It's not the color that I thought, right? This happens to all of us almost every time. For me, almost every time. Happened to me today. I brought a bunch of stuff for a new project to the church so I could hook for a couple hours. Got there, I was very happy. I took forever to choose my colors, do my color planning. Got there, everything was stupid. None of it looked right. And I probably going to pull out the entire grass that I hooked today, you know. So all of us do this, but at the end of the day, would you agree, right, in your heart, right, if you can get past the anger and the frustration, wouldn't you agree that in those situations, if you persevere, you often end up with something that is better than your original idea? It's different, and if you were to say to yourself, it's going to be quite different than the original, and you would maybe say, well, then I ain't doing it, right? That's not what I signed up for. But when I'm in these situations where you have to make lots of changes and you have to adapt, um, more than 9 times out of 10, I would say 10 times out of 10, I feel like, you know what? No one is more surprised than me, but this looks amazing. And I think, I'm hoping that for Jan, that was where she got to by the time she got this piece done, because this is amazing. We are still feeling the glow. We are seeing the glow on the horse's body. We're seeing that fire. Instead of being metallic, it's more like a fire, right? So we're getting that heat. We're getting that highly sort of charged gold red color. Still there. The blue is very good. It's the same blue for me. The thing that really, for me, makes this heartbreakingly great is the hit or miss quality to the fire, to the ground, all those hit or miss colors, a little bit in the sky above the horse's neck. Oh my God. Absolutely amazing. The black outlining, and this is how I knew this was somebody I had not seen before. The placement of the shading, the shape of the horse's face, the jaw, the chin, the black outlining. This is just not something I've seen before. So I've seen stuff be outlined, you know, I've seen semi-realistic stuff, and lots of people do it in different ways, and it's beautiful every time. But this for me was quite different, and I thought, whoa, okay. There's a new master on the scene. What could be better for all of us when there's a new master on the scene? Because we all benefit from each other's amazing and inspirational work. Jan, this is amazing. This really is amazing. So she did Blue Horse. I also love the signature. And she did a couple of other pieces as well. One of them I didn't get. So let me show you the supporting pictures that she gives. Karen says the feeling is very different between the painting and the hooking. It is. It is different. And, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what, so this is a work in progress picture, no matter what, oh, I feel like this is quite different too. Wait a minute. Sorry. Okay, I see. Yeah. Not a lot has changed from one to the next. She's really got some traction by the time we're here. It's interesting to look at her method, because the black outlining is very thick black outlining. It's not like a number 5. It's quite thick black outlining. It matters a lot. It's also not exactly even. That matters a lot because it gives it more of a sketchbook quality. I think it's so interesting, right? It's not precise, and it's not, and it does feel like she sketched this. You will never get a transfer of, unless you're talking about a tapestry, right, in that kind of scale, you will never get an apples to apples transfer of a painting to a textile, again, unless it's a giant tapestry. With hooked rugs, you just don't. So you have to be at peace with knowing that the painted image will only take you so far, but when you start picking up your wool and start the hooking, it is my opinion, right, and maybe painters feel differently, it is my opinion that once you pick up the hook and you start going, you can go a lot further than you thought with textile. No one will ever talk me out of that. I feel like when you are holding fabric in terms of height, in terms of color, in terms of blending, in terms of texture and softness and finish, like clipped, not clipped, right? Using carriers or other materials, novelty. There's so many things that you can do to bring your piece alive that in painting can only be done with paint. We have lots of choices as hookers. And I feel like with this early piece, Jan is really uh, instinctively, she has a feel for what is possible. She's playing. She's figured out how to resolve the problems that were frustrating initially. She's figured it out. And she immediately starts playing and realizing what a great feeling it is when you've got a rag bag with a bunch of hit or miss colors near you and you're thinking, shall I put some green in now? Some bright green, shall I? And you do, and you think, wow, right? Rug hookers know this feeling. This is why we do it. So much fun as colors appear. As I said in the sermon last week, like popping these little loops popping up like spring flowers through the brown ground. You know, they pop up and you go, ooh, okay, that is going to work. Or you go, yeah, maybe not. That's okay, I've got other colors, right? So good. So Jan sent in that piece, and she had also done a second piece that I had not seen yet, and this is, of course, the Blue Nose schooner, right? The famous Canadian ship that's on the Canadian quarter. Let me see, does she say something? Hold on, let me see. She might, yeah, Blue Nose schooner. Hold on, she says something about this. Wait, my pages are sticking together. Oh, okay. She says, let me share a little bit of my background and history, the background and history that makes this project so personal. The Blue Nose was originally built in 1921 in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, Canada. In her day, she was the fastest fishing racing schooner on the eastern seaboard for 17 years. The Canadian dime, thank you, bears the image of the Blue Nose. My paternal grandmother, Sarah Pubakova, was Pubakove, I bet it's Pubakove, was from Nova Scotia, Canada. While visiting with my grandmother, I heard stories about the schooner and saw her two beautiful large hooked rugs of the Blue Nose. But as a youngster, I didn't ask many questions. I knew my grandpa was a sea captain, but at the time, not much more. As he had passed away before I was born, researching the history behind my grandmother's mention of the schooner, I discovered that I had a distant ancestor who was a member of the racing crew in several races. Ooh, goosebumps. This personal connection to the Blue Nose rug, a piece of my family history, makes this project deeply meaningful to me, and I hope it resonates with you as well. My grandmother was incredibly creative and talented in so many crafts. In my later years, I always felt that my creativity and drive were inherent in my genetic makeup. Reflecting on my 80s now, I wanted to honor her memory by learning the art of hooking and creating a Blue Nose rug. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, none of her original rugs have survived. Years ago, family stories were that a couple of her rugs went to a museum in Canada. I have no idea where or if the story is true. The Blue Nose rug was my second endeavor in hooking while I was working on the Paw Holiday rug simultaneously. So the Happy Paw Holiday rug is the one that I didn't get a photo of, and I wrote to Jan to say, make sure you send that one so we can look at that next time. But this one, you can see the sort of lead up to this, and oh my God, like, wow. So the Blue Nose schooner rugs, let me pull one up on my phone, are quite different. So this is very, very painterly. I know. Jan's hooking is different, but reminds me of our friend Pam Hunt. Do you know what I mean? Just the watercolor quality to it that is very, very hard to do. I know I'm not a good enough hooker to do it, and I'm not a good enough painter to do it. Let me pull up the Blue Nose schooner rug, the Blue Nose hooked rug, and let me show you what the Garrett Blue Nose pattern for this is. Come on. Hold on. I just pulled up Jan's rug recently, so of course that's the only one it wants to show. It wants to show me. It's showing me the one from Encompassing Designs. Um, why don't I see the original blue nose? It is, there it is. I was going to say, it is, besides the three bears, it is the most um, famous of the blue nose Garrett patterns. Now hold on a second, because Rebecca just wrote me as well. What did Rebecca say? She says, an article about Jan. Oh yes, I agree. For Tigger is a must. Sorry, probably wasn't supposed to read that one. They're very pretty. Let me show you beautiful tribute to her family history. I'm so sad about her grandmother's rugs, though. So Jan, if you do watch this, make sure you check with the Rug Hooking Museum of North America. They are in Nova Scotia. You probably already have, but make sure you ask them what they have in storage. Um, I would venture to say that, like in New England, in Eastern Canada, I'm guessing most house museums also have hooked rugs. If you have it in you, just do a form email and fire them out to a bunch of people. You never know. Someone might say, well, we do have a schooner and it's initialed, and these are the initials. This is what the Garrett Blue Nose. Now remember, each one was hand painted. So this is what the Garrett Blue Nose schooner pattern looked like, and this is the all-time most popular Garrett Blue Nose pattern. So oldest Canadian brand pattern, followed closely by the three bears. So yeah, I mean, this is amazing. This is amazing. And you know what's interesting about this is what we were just talking about, the fact that the blue horse was a different size than the finished piece. The blue nose schooner, as we know it as a hooked rug, is also a different size than this. This is also executed in sort of a slightly offset square. So interesting, right? I mean, that's interesting to me, that they're not like recreations of something. Not the painting is not a recreation of the painting, and this blue nose is not a recreation of the blue nose, the classic blue nose pattern. Completely different. This is Jan's own blue nose, and yet Sue's beautiful family history, beautiful tribute. Melissa, who's a fellow Canadian, very pretty as a blue noser. Yeah, very meaningful to Canadians, right? Because this is your history, but also to rug hookers. Because I dare to say I share the feeling for this rug, because the pattern of the blue nose is such an important pattern for us as rug hookers. It is part of our shared history. But for Canadians, it has that added layer of sentiment, doesn't it? It's absolutely beautiful. Jan says, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude for being a part of this creative process, and I look forward to sharing more of my journey with you. Jan, I can't wait. It's so exciting. You know, we have such a big group. But it's so exciting when someone comes along who is doing work that's different, that's recognizable as being different. Uh, all work is great, obviously. All work is great. But Jen is an artist, and now she's experimenting with rug hooking. And it's just fun to watch. It's inspiring. It's fun to watch. And the fact that she's immediately willing to share is amazing, because not everybody's there. A lot of people, well, give me some time. Let me get a little bit better, and then I'll start sharing my stuff. It's great to have somebody come in and right away start sharing stuff. I love that. I love that spirit. And yes, it is always a journey together. Um, it's so beautiful. It's so different. And I have a lot of respect, and there's a lot of sort of mystery involved when I think about the people who are painters first, then became hookers, like Jan, like Pam, who work on paintings or photographs and then transfer them with a painter's brain to a hooked rug, right? That's something I can't comment on and I can't teach, because that's just, I'm not that good of a painter. I never have been. And it's such a mystery to me that people like Jan are able to get this kind of not detail, but expression and emotion into a finished textile. That is hard. Absolutely beautiful. And I have one more piece for tonight, Valerie. I got it in. I was afraid I wasn't going to get there in the end. First, let me show you this. I'm sorry. Should have done this first. So no problem. Never worry about being late. If it comes in late and I don't have time, then I save it for next time. But I made sure that I had time in this case. So So Valerie wrote, just this afternoon, I just pulled the last loop on my noodle doodle. Approximately 22 by 38 on burlap, mostly recycled wool clothes from my stash of cut noodles. Note to self, don't cut so many at one time. I wasn't sure if I would like the variety of beiges and browns, so come back here. Wait a minute. Hold on. I wasn't sure I would like the variety of beiges and browns for the background, but as it came along, I loved it more and more. It was fun. It was fun to design. It was a fun design of all my noodles. I just love your noodle doodle. This is super fun. It is stunning. It has a great folk art quality to it. It's got like touches of graffiti, touches of Magdalena. It's just such a composite, such a lot of fun. And using scrap noodles for this is just such fun. The pineapple, the flower, the paisley, the color wheel. I mean, what fun. And it's a great rug. It actually looks like a really old rug. I think part of it is because of the brown background. I love your browns. You know, I'm not a fan of brown, but in this case, the brown really lifts all these bright colors. You used a lot of bright colors, and I love bright colors, but brown really tempers bright colors because it's such an earthy color, right? It's really, really popping everything. You've got little flourishes of patriotism, flowers springing up, a beautiful rainbow. I mean, this is just an absolutely gorgeous piece. I just love it. I think it's a great inspiration when you're left over with your noodles. I think that is a good tip, though. Gail says it makes me feel happy looking at it. Me too. There's so much to see. This is a great piece for hanging. It's a great floor piece, of course, but I would want to hang this up and look at it all the time. The kitty is in there. He's in the mix, or she. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful piece to end with, too, because it's like, it's a reminder as we head into the weekend. It's a reminder that if you have a lot of noodles, right, and you just have some backing, you could create your own noodle doodle, just get some stuff down. It doesn't have to be a perfectly tight design. It doesn't have to be a perfect composition. It can be, it can evolve, right? You can just start. Just put a few things down with a Sharpie and hook those things and then say, I guarantee you that you will say, oh, well, that actually looks really nice. Let's see what's next. Tell the story as you go, right? That's how people write. That's how people compose music, right? You do it in pieces. That's how a lot of quilters quilt, row by row, right? That's a style of quilting, row by row. And you figure it out as you go along. And you know when something's not working. Your brain will tell you when something's not working. But yeah, just going into stuff, seat of the pants, all pantsy style, is a great way to go into the weekend. It's a great way to use up some of your leftover stuff. I really enjoyed tonight. We saw a lot of very different work tonight, and I really appreciate you brainstorming with me over holiday stuff. You gave me some great ideas, and I'm going to go into my vacation week with an empty notebook, writing down some of these amazing ideas, and feeling really confident about this holiday bazaar that I'm putting together this year. I feel very confident. Like it's going to come together with lots of great ideas, and I'm going to be able to say to people, "Hey, do you want to do? This is a quilly. This is how you sew it. Can you make 100 of these?" I feel like that's going to be an easy sell for people who are like to do stuff with their hands but are not necessarily creative or on their own or like big projects. You gave me some great ideas, and I really appreciate it. April says, thank you so much. Great gallery night. Have a great weekend, everyone. Have a great weekend, everyone. Remember, I'm not here next week. So I'm being a little pig and heading back to Cape Cod, and we will be there Saturday to Saturday. So I will pop up online if you are on Facebook. I post stuff on my personal page, and I'd love to see your comments there. And if I see anything that's really good for our group, which is Rug Cooking in Punch Needle Club, I'll put that in the page there. I'll make some posts if I see some good stuff. But yeah, I really need to relax because I feel like I had one foot on a banana peel and the other one like in bedlam for the last few weeks. So I definitely need some downtime. Yeah, I love the variety tonight too. It was great. Rebecca, I'm so glad that you two are together, that you made it. You had a cozy place for tonight. I was more worried that I wanted to say. I knew that I would go get you. I would have just had to postpone the show, and I would have driven up to get you. It's never a thought, never a thought. But I'm glad it worked out. So, all right, happy weekend, everybody. You'll hear from me next week. But remember, no shows next week. I will be with you the week after, and we will be on the countdown to Sauter Village at that point. Oh my God, let's do this, right?